When the chips are down and time is running out, that's when you really discover the power of a great community bank. West Tennessee Bank is proud to be an independent community bank staffed with people you know and trust. West Tennessee Bank, a division of Decatur County Bank. We think you'll like us. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
All right. Well, our agenda says we were going to be called to order 30 minutes ago, so we'll get that started.
Amend the call to order
Right now, and I will call this meeting of Chester County Election Commission regularly scheduled quarterly meeting, although we've noticed it and are holding it a week late, and I appreciate your indulgence on that because of a conflict we had last week with the inauguration of the new president on campus last Thursday. As is our custom, if you would please stand, we'll start with the pledge. Anyone can volunteer to lead, as always.
I will. All right.
Okay, KB.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you would bow with me for a brief word of prayer. Father God, we are thankful for this and every day that you give us. We're thankful for the great privilege of living in this country, for the freedoms that we enjoy, the opportunity that we have to be involved in government. We pray that you would always guide us and give us wisdom as we deal with matters that come before this commission, matters of public importance that ensure the integrity of elections in this county, that you would help us to do our best in all that we do. We pray in Christ's name. Amen. All right. First order of business is the minutes of the July 27th meeting.
Do you have a copy?
Secretary Doyle.
July 27th.
And it should have blue in it? Okay. A little bit of a deviation due to the fact that the minutes had to be amended. The first copy is the original. The second copy, the one that has the blue ink are the changes in the amendments.
To the previous meeting.
July 27th, yes, sir.
The meeting was called to order by Stephen Morris, and the pledge was led by Stephen Morris, as is the prayer, or was the prayer. And as he says, we're always open to volunteers. I have to arm wrestle Bill for that next time. The minutes of the previous April 20th, 2017 quarterly meeting were read by me, the KB Doyle, the Chester County Election Commission Secretary. And these are the changes that were made. Stephen Morris noted that the minutes did not reflect the reappointments of the commissioners and AOE. So we had to correct that situation. Kathy Vest confirmed that at the April 20th meeting, the following actions were taken. I guess it was just the stuff was in the mail, and we hadn't really, we just hadn't been confirmed yet. But Stephen Morris was nominated to chair the commission by Bill Moore. I seconded that motion, and the motion passed by unanimous vote. KB Doyle, myself, was nominated to serve as the secretary of the commission by Sylvia Flowers, and I should have seen that one coming. Bill Moore seconded the motion, and the motion passed by unanimous vote. Michelle White was reappointed as AOE by a motion from Pat Witherington. Sylvia Flowers seconded the motion, and it passed by unanimous vote. It was also noted that the AOE report that was presented at the April meeting was number 47, so the report numbers were out of sequence. And I believe those have all been corrected. And I got to admit, when that was pointed out, I went through that Abbott and Costello thing, who's on first. And 47 is 46 and 49, etc. All right, the motion to move was made to pass the minutes with corrections noted above by Bill Moore. It was seconded by me, KB Doyle, and it was passed by a unanimous vote. report number 48, dated May 3rd, 2017. The updates in the meeting were the list maintenance, including those approved by the state to purge due to inactivity since 12/31/2013, with the date being given by the state election coordinator's office, was presented. It was noted that approximately 600 voters were purged based on inactivity. And the reason for the delay in the purge was the still continuing lawsuit in Ohio. And apparently that's, we're comfortable enough with that to go on with the purge. Then there was the Chester County Election Commission confirmation verification schedule. And we also voted on the harassment policy. I think there were some amendments made to that, but I believe it passed. The old business was the Election Commission policy manual updates and approval, including the new harassment policy, were discussed. The motion to accept was made by me, KB Doyle, and seconded by Sylvia. The motion passed by unanimous vote. Michelle White agreed to email a final copy to everyone present. New voting equipment update. It was noted in the AOE report and handout. Michelle White noted that the HAVA paperwork must be done by December 31st, which is fast approaching. She would like to vote on a new system at the October 2017 meeting, which is today. The AOE also advised that Unison will be presenting a demonstration of their system. That's an old one. It was August 2nd in the election office, if anyone attended. Then the new business, we had consideration of errors and omission coverage, which we've already taken care of. The motion to research and purchase by Pat Weatherington, seconded by me, KB Doyle, and passed by unanimous vote. And then we approved the new list maintenance program. The motion to continue it was made by Pat Weatherington, seconded by me, to research the cost, and if county commissioners the motion passed by unanimous vote. The motion to approve was made by Bill Moore, seconded by myself, and it was passed by unanimous vote. We also reviewed 14 new registration applications, and I assume those all passed by unanimous vote too. And then the final order of business was Bill Moore led a discussion regarding the AOE attendance. And there are details in the either in the handout or the AOE report, one or the other. The next meeting was scheduled and changed to today. And then there was an adjournment motion made by Sylvia Flowers and seconded by Pat Weatherington, and it passed unanimously.
No, you don't have to change it. That was the anticipation. So Michelle noted that also had an 11 o'clock start time, which was in fact 11:30.
I'm just excited to get started, I guess.
And then, let's see. Any other changes, additions that we need to discuss?
projects, including HAVA paperwork, this one was the most time-consuming. Therefore, the copy you received, that you all received or viewed, had not been verified, it had not been updated, it contained errors that were discovered after completing this tedious request, and you're receiving an updated absentee report today if it is of interest to you. The AOE met with Chairman Morris and
so, that brings us to items of old business. First off, as an item of old business, it's not on the agenda, and I'm not sure why it's not on the agenda, but we passed a motion at the last meeting to investigate E&O coverage. And look into that possibility. What is the status?
Judy Bernard is our point of contact for
Right.
that, and is researching it.
Judy's in the process of researching it.
Well, in purchasing when she finds out,
We hadn't heard back from that.
not yet. That doesn't mean she won't purchase it. I just have not asked.
So no report on the E&O coverage.
You can know you can.
Okay, well, the second item then on old business is the new voting equipment consideration. And what I would like for you to do is just give us a quick overview of the 4 systems, 5, I guess, if you count the 2 Park potentially is offering.
Right.
And then, once you go through that, we will ask questions and see about recommendations.
Kathy, why don't we tag team this and you hold up the spreadsheet that everybody has, and I'll do the Vanna White and demo the photo of said machines. How does that sound? So you want to walk through all of them, whatever the
I'd like to walk
commission
through all
would
of the-
like. You want to walk through
all the
everything?
options.
Okay. And again, remember, we are being extremely thorough, and the reason for that is some of the vendors are making just these great deals with the administrators and the commissions and lowballing the bid, but then their first election, they got slammed with huge fees. So we've been doing our due diligence to ask literally whatever pieces they think it costs. So the first one on your list is ES&S, and that's fresh on my mind because they were here yesterday. And that is this guy right here. It is the DC200. It's a precinct scanner and tabulator. It's a little bit like our e-scan that we use for absentee ballots, except the voter actually votes on the screen. And when they press, it's a DRE. So when they press that, it prints out a ballot, paper ballot, for them to see and prove. And if they're happy, they can face down into the optical scan. But this, what you're seeing here, is the actual, if I'm not mistaken, that's the actual machine, the voting machine, or is that the scanner? That's the scanner, I'm sorry,
Scanner.
because of the trash can.
This
That's
is,
right, yeah.
this is what the actual voting,
Yep.
the ballot marking device would look like. And these come on a cart that you can transport them in. You put 4 to a
So
cart.
it's just sitting on a stand. right
This
there.
is a separate, there's 2 items. This is your ballot marking device, and it integrates with our poll pads, so that there is a scanner that can be attached right here. We print out the registration from the poll pad, the voter takes it and scans it, so there is no possibility of them getting the wrong ballot style. Then as she says, they mark it via DRE, it prints out if it's agrees with what their intentions were. Then they go to this piece of equipment, which we jokingly say is a trash can, and they scan it in, and it captures that. In the bottom here, there is a place where the paper ballots are captured, and actually the data is maintained on a thumb drive. It's kept here, but inside this, you open it up, and there is a tote where all of the ballots have fallen into that they're never touched. It gets shut, it's locked, and it's pulled out, sealed, and comes back.
And the top part of that comes off on your tabulator.
This part right here will just come back,
Go
so
in a
an
bag.
officer would bring this back in a bag and would bring the tote that had the paper ballots back in the bag. And then it stores on the cart with a cover over the cart. And,
Where did you say the disc was?
The disc is actually in the tabulator.
right here, inside this.
And,
So it's locked,
you know,
that's
some-
locked obviously too.
Yes,
during
there's
the
multiple points of
certification.
locking.
But now, some commissions have opted to allow the poll officials to break the seal and put the thumb drive in a secured Ziploc sealed bag and bring it in. But
No, I don't think
kind of
we'd be
how
doing
we roll, I felt like we would be just bringing the top part of that. It's like our JBC.
that. Right, that
And then
makes
the
sense to me.
commissioners break the seal and
Okay.
go from there. So, I think we pretty much, it has a tremendous ease of setup. It's literally on, off. We like
Be
that.
nice.
And the
It has been
cart
certified by the
plugs
state.
in, so they really just wheel in the cart, plug it in, on, and it's done.
And each machine is ADA, so you don't have to worry about lining them up and making sure the last one is ADA. They all are. Kathy already mentioned the portable container for the ballots, which is really important to me. We all, I think, are in agreement, I would assume, that paper ballots are around the corner, or a paper trail. So I am making sure that as we purchase our voting equipment, that we are capable of a paper ballot trail, so we're not out any expense. And this one certainly accommodates that checklist. You can see the annual fees. It has the built-in printer with the marking device. And if you'll notice, next, right above positives, there's a third-party vendor needed. With some of these equipments, with the trash cans, I mean, it's getting more and more and more for our poll officials to get to the polling places. I would request at some point the commission look at a third-party vendor that will be certified to go out and set up what they can set up, not the tabulator, but different things, and be responsible for removing them, like supplies and carts and covers. But anyway, that's a discussion for later on. But I think all but one system is gonna require a lot, because they're loaded down now. When we start adding trash cans, and I call them trash cans, they are ballot bins, excuse me. So any questions on ES&S?
Do you want to cover the financing option that they are offering us?
Sure.
The one thing that is a positive for them, they are offering us 3 years, no interest on this. The actual first-year payment would be our HAVA funds, and then the balance would be divided between year 2 and year 3 with no cost to that. One other thing that was really, that we saw as a positive with this one, besides that it does include the cart, so it's going to be easy to set up and that kind of thing, it has a privacy help button. So as you know now, if someone's having an issue, they raise their hand and wave, and in this case, they just push a button and the screen blanks out so that the person coming up to answer their question doesn't see how they're voting. And they don't have to wave and say, I'm having problems. It just triggers people that there's an issue, and you go and help them.
And their live ballot is secret still.
And it calls someone for them?
Yes.
and it's-
Yes.
That's the
Yes,
point. It-
that's the idea.
It alerts whoever's
Summons.
looking, okay.
Someone's watching so that it would alert, kind of like your call button at the hospital.
Okay.
That's exactly right. That was a cool positive. And you can see the breakdown. We are breaking it down literally per paper for the ballot, paper ballot, which are our absentee ballots. You can see those across the board. But the S&S, that is the S&S. I guess the second one.
Just to be clear, after
Yes.
that third installment, the system's
Yes.
paid for.
Oh,
Yes.
that reminds me, yeah.
That is correct.
spoke with the mayor. There's another vendor that allows a 3-year no interest payment plan as well. And even though we have 80,000 in the general fund, it's the election commission's, we're doubtful that we'll see that money, especially if they offer 0 interest. Both Judy and the mayor have indicated that they'll go with the 0 interest free payments, which
Sure.
makes sense to me.
Absolutely.
Hang on to our 80, or their 80,
Yeah.
who's ever 80 it is, plans.
And so now, with this, are they offering any type of insurance or if it's damaged or any type of?
Yes,
There is a
we will
commercial or a
insure
warranty.
all of the machines through a insurance policy by the county. Now,
There is a
Yes.
licensing warranty and maintenance. That's an annual fee that we pay. And what that would actually involve is the plan that Michelle and I liked was every 2 years, they actually come and do preventive maintenance and they check batteries and they check everything for it every 2 years. And that's if there's some problem with the machine. And then as she was saying, the county has an insurance policy that covers in the event that there was a tornado or something like that, that would happen. Also, you will know that this is a system that is in our neighboring counties of McNairy, Hardin. Recently, they've added Weekly, and it is in Wilson County. And the representative told us yesterday they anticipate by the end of the year to be in 10 counties in Tennessee.
Have McNairy or Hardin used them yet?
yes, they have.
And do they love them?
Well, I think they were very pleased with the cost, and they did not complain of any glitches, but my goal is to go look at the exact dollar amount for that November election to see to the penny what they were out. And granted, I'll adjust and prorate it for our county, but those are 2 good resources that we plan to use.
Okay, but they will use those in when? Next November?
August
Next August? Okay, so
or May.
we're not, we're talking about making a decision. What I'm saying is, if we're making a decision before December,
Yes.
we won't know what their real-time election experience is in time to make that decision. If we're gonna make a decision
Yes,
before this December,
right.
then they're not gonna have experience with an actual election to tell us
Hardin and
about,
Mary.
right?
No, they had it all last year.
No, they used it last year.
Yes,
they
they
used it,
did
yeah.
the big,
Okay.
big Super Bowl November election, so that's
Okay.
why I want their exact dollar figure.
But you don't know that yet?
No,
Okay.
they'll, have to get it to us, but we will have an idea of what a total election costs. As you know, there's a gazillion
Sure.
hidden as well as known factors. The second one is Unison. I think those of you who have been around remember Unison. We've been looking at this since 2012. And that is this little guy. Very similar to ES very similar. It's a DRE where the voter marking system spits out the ballot. If the voter is pleased, it's scanned just like our e-scan, drops in the bucket and go. Kathy, what else you want to add?
One thing that's a little different with this system than what we've seen with the ES and S, actually applies to Unison and to the Dominion you'll look at in a minute. It requires an activation card at the ballot marking device. And so, depending on the ballot style, the correct, it almost looks like a credit card, has to be taken to and put in to get the ballot style up. These come packaged in this little container right here, and then you just take them into the precinct locations and put them on tables. So there's
Privacy booths.
we have privacy booths, but there's no stand or anything. These are on. So, in the event that we had a voting location that did not have tables, we would need to make sure we had tables there for them to sit on. They're also all ADA compliant.
Again, the ballot marking devices can be reused, just not the scanners, like after early voting.
And then as far as the ballots go in the trash can, in the ballot container here as well. The difference here is there's not anything that's containing them. So at the end of the night, either this whole piece comes back, or someone has to take out those ballots and put them and seal them in a box and secure it. So that's one of the things that created a little bit of a concern for us. Now, they do offer they told us 3 to 4 years, no interest financing on this one. And relatively easy to set up. It's a little bit more complicated than the press button on, but it still seems like it would be something that everyone would be able to do. The only concern that I had when I was talking to them was the optics of it. It looks like with that credit card, if you will, you could just go in there and
Vote as many times
as you want. There's not any real checks and balances. So if someone, messes up, when you spoil that ballot and then you go and you just generate another one. And so there might be some concern that, people, just optics of how it might look.
You're saying it isn't possible, but it just looks like it.
It's an optic.
Exactly. Because at the end of the night, your numbers aren't going to balance if that has happened. But,
By then,
someone,
you've messed up the whole.
yeah, but for
precinct.
someone sitting there watching it, it could look a little bit more concerning. And there's always the biggest concern I think that we had in talking about it was if someone gets, how do you make sure that someone gets that right credit card? Especially if you end up with, a place that has multiple ballot faces and, we could have 6 or 10 ballot faces. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's Unison. The next one is Dominion, and it's interesting because I had written them completely off because I thought they were 100% paper ballot. Literally mark your paper with a pen and scan it. But come to find out, they have the latest and greatest called the VVPAT, and it is the slickest thing I've seen in a long time. It's the hybrid that I want, that I would love to see us have, in that it's the DRE voting, touchscreen voting. Then it prints out, it prints the ballot inside this little container here. So you've got the ballot, it takes the picture, and it's just on a roll. So for storage, and you can see that's the size of the machine. That is the setup. So it's very simple, efficient, accessible. The thing.
So you vote on the electronic device on the left,
Correct.
then it shows up as a paper ballot on the right.
It doesn't show anything. It just, that is the whole enchilada.
What?
It shows and you look at it and you say, okay, is this what I want?
Yeah.
And then when you say yes, it just saves it and records records
Right.
it on that roll, like at, you know, at Walmart or whatever, where you would have just a register roll
But the
that's
mach-
keeping all those ballots.
Yeah, the machine itself is actually a ballot marking and tabulator.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's, but
So at the
size-
end of a roll, you would take a whole roll of marked ballots out of that machine,
And have-
and where do they go?
we would have a protocol in place where they would be sealed in a container, ballot box, ballot bag.
That
even.
doesn't do that automatically.
Yeah, and then that way, the Republicans and Democratic poll officials would both sign and seal and bring those back. But for storage purposes, for over economics, you don't have to print a lot of extra ballots because it's ballot on demand, which is a nice feature. So that is Dominion. And
A couple other things. One other thing that's not included is it would require a computer, a laptop at every precinct. And that's one of the things that is not in their initial quote, so that's something we would need to purchase. In addition, you see there were, they've estimated about $1,200 at 15, be about an additional $18,000 over cost of that. Another thing that they have said, the other three vendors that we have offered us a buyback or a discount for our used HARP equipment. They have not. They said, why don't you sell it back to HARP? And they have offered us an 8-year payment plan, but there is an interest charge for that. And currently, they're not, this particular piece of equipment, a lot of their equipment is certified in Tennessee. This particular piece is not. They anticipate that certification happening in January.
And I see where you have here the unknown, that interest rate, right?
yeah.
Yeah, he's like, oh, there's interest.
That's
But he didn't
lovely.
just specify exactly what that was. So we have to nail that down just a little bit, but.
Yeah.
So $350 a roll, you know how many ballots you get on a roll? I guess it
Didn't he
depends on the
say
length of it.
about 1,000? Or was it 3,000? It was a large number.
But I'm anticipating you probably wouldn't want to use a roll, I mean, it would be for every election.
Yes, but Stephen's asking like if you had to change the roll.
I'm like, I wouldn't.
I think.
I was just trying to figure out, well, we're comparing apples. You've
Yes.
got cost per ballot 9 cents and then $350 a roll. If it's, 1,000
Yes.
ballots, I mean, it's
Well,
35 cents, right?
Right. Paper ballots you can see is between.
Check my math on
24
that, 'cause I don't do
and
math.
36.
That's what I was thinking. 1,000 would be about 35 cents.
Yeah. Now beneath that is your absentee by mail ballot price.
Yeah,
our
and that's
paper
pretty
ballots.
consistent with
Yeah.
that. But that has the highest annual fee too by a good margin and the highest support cost.
And but it does include 3 days of support. They come in the day before the election, the day of the election, and the day after the election. And I believe they said you could reduce that. If we just want them 1 day, we can reduce that,
Okay.
that amount. Okay? Last but not least is our current vendor, HARP, which we obviously have a great relationship with Chad, and love to do business with him. However, the equipment is just, in our opinion, not a match for Chester County. But in all fairness, we will go over it and y'all may disagree. I had him break it out in 2 different columns. There is the paper column, which is not required right now, but I wanted to see the cost of it. And then the DRE is the other column. Paper means that they go and they vote on the, kind of like our e-slate, very similar, but it prints to a desktop printer per
Yeah.
e-slate or per machine. And then that is what is scanned. And Kathy and I just don't like the optics of a home printer printing out ballots. But anyway,
Plus, those have to be transported to each location, and there's a special type of ballot stock paper that you purchase. This is the equipment that y'all probably remember. Chad
they
came and
came.
presented about a year ago, maybe. And so y'all have, this is the only one that y'all have actually laid hands on and had an opportunity to see.
Except,
Would you have to have a printer for each machine?
yes, if you're going the paper route. Now, we can go the DRE route and not have a paper trail. And then when legislation requires us to have a paper trail, we would have to convert and add it, which would, be a cost to the county. So, but
This
they,
is the most similar to what we have right
Yes.
now. And so it would be,
So
from
it
a
has-
poll
it's-
official standpoint, it would be the easiest transition.
But this is, so it would still be dial a vote.
no, it's
No, it's
touchscreen.
touchscreen.
Oh, it's going to
That,
touchscreen?
that right there is your ADA, and each machine is ADA equipped. That-
Not on HARP. HARP is the only one that does not have them all.
Oh,
Because he quoted us on
okay.
different.
So you're back to making sure you've got it.
The right one in the right spot.
information. So that is a top line of that. We will certainly encourage you to study and get back with us on your questions and details. In the meantime, I am currently negotiating prices on each one of these voting systems.
Oh, and also, just remember that HARP is still not certified in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Can you give us a general idea of relative cost for the systems?
The least expensive is ES&S. The most expensive is Dominion. Those are our top two choices. Between Kathy and I, we have to force rank them, not necessarily in that order, but those are our top two based on what we've seen and what Chester County needs.
So you're saying ES&S is number one?
Well, with Dominion. We'll have to battle that. And at the end of the day, well, I don't know what we'll decide. It's something that y'all may be the one
You
who
didn't-
decided.
It doesn't say that it's certified in Tennessee, is it? You just didn't.
What, the
Yes,
ES&S?
I'm sorry, yes.
Yes, it is certified.
It is already certified.
Yes, and Hardin and McNary used it all last year, and
they're
including
in
the
10
big Super
counties
Bowl.
in Tennessee, or they anticipate being in 10 counties by the end of the year.
Wow.
And Dominion has quite, they have one or
Hamilton.
Hamilton, they have one county, but I think they are totally paper. They just do.
So that's how they get away around not being certified.
Well, they're not certified on this particular piece of equipment. It's VVPAT
Yeah.
that we're liking is not, but they anticipate that in
We have
January.
about 4 or 5 different systems, but the rest of them are coming.
And HARP doesn't anticipate getting certified.
They're hopeful.
Oh, they're just hopeful.
Every time we
They've
talk to
been
Chad, they're
hopeful for 3
hopeful.
years.
2012, remember?
Was that 12 when we started?
Yep, 12. We've been
I like the
looking at
Cubs, I
voting
guess.
equipment for 5 years, but what I have learned is that there is negotiation ability, and Kathy, I think, saw me shine the other day. She looked at me like, who is this person? Because I was working a deal, so, wheeling and dealing, I think is what we call it, but that's the fun part of the process. The tough part's paying for it, and y'all deciding which one. But we have
a special call meeting between now and,
Well, if you want to wait until the first quarterly meeting in January to actually decide on it, if I had a vote in it, I would ask that we make a decision before that, have the paperwork in by the end of the year, so we get our machines the first of the year. So we've got from January to May, if we have a primary, or August to be trained, and Kathy and I worked on the software and that type of thing, so. But we want you all
if
to,
that's, how soon will you be in a position to have that meeting where you would have all the material that you need to make a recommendation?
what would you say, Kathy? Pretty soon, depending on how well they'll negotiate with me, pretty soon. I mean, I'm getting them down to I'm squeezing every bit I can out, so.
Which one are you all preferably leaning towards, you think?
Our top two
ES&S?
choices are
Those top two?
ES&S and Dominion.
Okay, those two.
Yep,
Which
the
one of
least
those two?
expensive and the most expensive.
Now, the maximum use of it for Chester County, which one would you say that you would think that, with you all viewing it and seeing them, that we would need to use in Chester County? Dominion, or, I guess maybe I'm just putting you.
On the
but-
count of three, you say yours and I'll say mine.
Okay.
1, 2, ES&S. And that was unrehearsed.
Well, just
Dominion
listening.
is nice, but it's a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, and I don't know that.
I was gonna say, listening
They're
to
gonna
the
have to
presentation,
really-
that sounds to me like the pretty obvious.
Right, unless they come off
Choice.
a chunk of change on their costs.
Well, like this annual fees,
Yes, ma'am.
there is a big difference in ES&S and Dominion.
That is correct.
And there's a big difference in the initial proposed cost.
Yeah.
Yes, a very big difference.
And
There's a
big
reason for 8
difference in-
years of finance.
And technical, there's a big difference in technical support too. A big difference.
So, we're not in a position to make a motion. As some of you know, I'm not gonna be available for the month of December, because of a surgery.
We for sure could meet in November easily. The bids come in, I mean, well, if the negotiations go well.
And I would think that because, our neighboring county has this, if anyone wanted to go and at least lay hands on it and see it, we could arrange
You said
that.
McNary and Hardin.
McNary and Hardin, I'm sure either one of them would be happy for any commissioners or anything that wanted to come and, just look and see what it is and where, how you secure and all that kind of stuff that might make you feel a little better. I like to lay hands on stuff, so.
I'm pretty sure I played with that in Nashville. I don't remember if it's this year or the year before, but I'm pretty sure I've experimented with the ENS machine. So do we need to set a meeting then, what, for the 30th of December, or November, I mean?
Is that Thursday?
That would be a Thursday. Do it on a Tuesday as well.
I like the 30th.
It's right in between Thanksgiving and
It's not,
it's a week
it's after Black Friday and all that stuff.
You will have had time to recover from your annual trip to Walmart.
I mean, not that I go, but, it's,
$8,000 per machine.
Wow.
And Dominion's closing in on $500,000.
That's why we're thinking they're gonna have to come down quite a bit.
Okay.
But he says he will. Because he wants to be in Chester County really, really bad.
And which one is that?
Unison. No, Dominion.
Dominion.
Okay, so explain this to me then. Because we paid what, $6,000 or something a piece for the heart machines? What did the heart machines cost us each? I'm trying to figure out how they can give us enough machines for the whole county for $8,000.
Well, plus the highway funds. I mean, is that what you're?
Yes, that includes the.
That's after
Yeah.
Hobby.
Oh,
That's after HAVA.
After
Yeah.
that makes a lot more sense. I'm thinking
You
8,000
need to
total.
mark that down.
At Big Lots, they've got these ES&S.
That's exactly, I'm thinking
Walmart.
Fisher Price.
Start using them soon.
Okay, so 8,000 over HAVA, over
Oh, yeah.
available
There you
HAVA
go.
funds.
And that includes the silver package, which they come every other year and service the machines and make sure that the batteries are correct, any repair, maintenance.
Okay,
And the
silver.
carts.
Yeah, and the carts.
Carts and covers.
Carts and covers are huge because they're gonna
Sure.
be.
It'll make setup so easy.
Well, I don't know, it's up to the rest of y'all. I don't know that I need a subsequent meeting to make a decision between 8,000 and $500,000.
But again, he has assured me that he will, be competitive, so.
And that's before HAVA funds, so it will come down to
Yeah.
the 120.
Yeah, but that's still 8,000 versus 380,000, right?
Yeah, well, and we've got 18,000 in just computers alone for Dominion. That would be above that.
And to be honest, Kathy and I have talked about this. We're not a big fan of the computer. We're not a big fan of the credit card, the optics of the credit card. Because what if your poll official gives the voter the wrong credit card, then they get the wrong ballot, then you gotta spoil the credit card or whatever it's called. So, I mean, we're pretty much sold on this.
And
that's-
because they already have this marriage, they're already working in other states with no ink.
Yes.
So it should be seamless as far as the process and,
When our poll pads, when it prints out the application for ballot and the voter signs it, it will have a barcode printed. So we will be purchasing, and that's included in our bid, a scanner. So the voter will just scan that barcode and that will bring up the correct ballot. So that's kind of slick, in our opinion.
so as long as you are, have someone really on top of it at the registration and they get that right thing in the poll pad, there's really no room for error as far as ballot style.
So I guess my question to you two then is, why aren't you recommending to me ES and S outright?
One reason
It's-
is I just was gonna give Dominion a shot at seeing if he can come even close to ES and S.
So you think there's there's a possibility he's gonna come down $390,000?
These people are desperate to get into the state of Tennessee. It's just like the poll pads that we purchased, now it's everywhere. So it's a foot in the door and they're willing to do what we need them to do, pretty much. But again, I can't guarantee that I'm gonna go down to ES and S price, but, he has assured me he will come in at the bid that we need him to come in at if we choose to. That's the main reason why we haven't.
But your Cadillac's still gonna cost $9,000 a year more in annual fees. Looks to me like we're looking at a good Toyota and a Cadillac.
I'm not inclined to spend the public's money on one.
If the commission, based on what we're saying, is in agreement and would like a motion to go ahead and move forward with the ES&S, with the caveat that if we run into an obstacle like they're like, oh, we forgot to tell you about the 10,000 every other month, you know, until we see it in our hand. We've got informal bids, but
Okay, you don't have a formal bid.
yeah, but we will have formal bids in the next step, and it's gonna be the same. Now Dominion won't, obviously, but if the commission is good to go, based on just what we've talked about, or if you would like for us to have ES&S come in and do a demo, or if you wanna run down to Hardin or McNairy County and see it, whatever the commission would like is what we want.
Well, a demo would be convenient, but in a way, I'd kind of like to talk to the people that actually have used it. Because, I mean, ultimately, that's somebody that sells you something is obviously into it. You know, I mean, they wouldn't be normally trying to sell it if they didn't believe it.
And these are good friends, so
Yeah,
they'll
we
shoot us
all know
straight on the positives
pretty much
and the
everybody,
negatives. Hard and
Yeah, they have no real reason to, distort their experience with it.
We could accept this, like I say, unless there's some hidden cost that they bring up, or Dominion comes, makes us an offer we can't refuse, we could always, you could notify the chairman, we could have a call meeting and change it or accept it, or.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
So we
I mean, I
move
can
forward
live
with
with that.
ES&S as first choice, Dominion is second, and that way you've got it both covered.
It's gonna be a miracle for them to come down like that. I'm just
Well, that's
saying,
the thing.
I remember the first meeting I was ever at, we were talking about this, and it was just enormously expensive, and I can't believe that it's
That was Unison, yeah.
come down to just,
Unison.
with the HAVA, just a few $1,000.
Seems like a bargain. Well, okay, does anyone have a motion? That is what we ultimately have to do here.
I'll put it in form of a motion. That we go with, proceed with ES&S, pending no hidden charges, no hidden surprises, and second choice Dominion, and can get their bid, their formal bid. And if there's something in it we want to look again, you can bring it to the chairman, and we can get together again and decide if we want to change.
All right. So the motion is that subject to receiving a formal bid, and no hidden costs, that the AOE proceed with negotiations and purchasing of the ES&S equipment and with the HAVA application. All right, that's a complicated motion, but I think we got everything into it. Is there a second to that motion?
I second that motion.
Is there any further discussion?
Bill Moore made the motion, and Kelly Joel and Sylvia. Oh, Bill.
Oh, did Sylvia second?
No,
Bill ended up making the motion.
Bill made-
Bill made the motion.
Yeah. And Sylvia was cheering him on.
Oh, yeah.
Kelly second. Okay.
Now, are we gonna talk with these counties, or we're gonna do anything with them?
We've already been talking.
Okay,
If-
But if y'all want to,
Yeah, we can still go.
we could
We
still
can go
set
visit
up
and see the
a
demo.
time.
Oh,
Sure. And we can
I'd
have
like to see
the
that.
company come to us, where y'all don't have to go anywhere but to our annex. I mean,
Okay.
that's the way it rolls.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Any other items of old business that are not on the agenda?
satisfied with the direction the Election Commission, Administrative Elections Office has been going. So I would think we need a change, and I make a motion that we terminate Michelle White as AOE of Chester County immediately.
Okay. There is a motion to dismiss the AOE. By Commissioner Moore. Is there a second? Second by Pat Weathers. All right, is there any discussion?
Am I allowed to discuss even?
You may address the commission on the question of,
Yes. The first point of reference was to address Commissioner Moore's concerns from the last meeting. I thought that was really critical because several important points were brought up and attendance record was,
Well, you addressed those as far as I'm concerned. You addressed the last meeting.
actually, no. You
To
had
my
asked,
satisfaction, you did. It was.
well, you had asked me about hiring Linda Skinner, for example, to come in and
You
work
told
when
me-
I worked.
You told me that you didn't, so that
Correct.
satisfies me.
Okay, and I have an affidavit from Ms. Skinner stating that
You
dates that
stated
she
that the
worked.
last meeting was
Yeah, but I wanted to show you that
Well, I took
I
you
have
at
the
your word.
documentation of it. Okay, that's fine. Commissioner Moore had an issue with me stopping texting when I was going to be out of the office. And I just wanted to make mention that that was instruction by the state coordinator's office. That was not mine. That was,
May I address that? I talked to the state coordinator, and she told me that absolutely, and I called her and asked her, was it my failure to put it in the form of a motion? And she said, yes. I told her I expected that's probably what it was. But she also told me she recommended that you continue doing it because you had started and that you had said that you would. Is that did she recommend that to you? Do you recall that? That was what she told me, so. But that's fine, since I didn't put it in motion, that was okay.
Commissioner Moore did request an absentee report. As I've already jokingly pointed out, it's been the most time-consuming report there is. This accounts for hour by hour since January 1st through.
I'm not talking
Today.
about attendance now, I'm just saying the general direction.
So let me go to some bullet points, just to refresh your memory on some things that we have accomplished since we've been here. I think that's only fair. Number one, shall be the chief administrative office of the commission and who will be responsible for the daily operations of the office and the execution of all elections. The duties of the administrator of elections may, upon the administrator's discretion, be performed by a designee. So reasons to keep me. I'm currently in the negotiation statements of stages of these voting equipments, and I'm gonna bet you're not gonna get those equipments for $8,000 if I'm not around, but that's your call. I've conducted 17 elections, and to my knowledge, cutting me out now would be the worst time, because you need my expertise in navigating the waters of the voting equipment that we have to purchase, because it's a lot of money and you need to know what you're doing. I've got the most experience of 17 elections under my belt to do that. There have been 0 complaints from voters, candidates, nor the state coordinator's office that I have been in, the office has been late on any reports. We're current on everything. In my first interview, when y'all interviewed me, I asked you that if you wanted me to know and or care the political party of the person that comes in the office, I'm not your girl, because everyone will be treated with excellence. And that continues to this day, that we are a neutral place where all parties are treated with excellence. My original plan was to finish out 2 years, which would get me to the retiring point. And at that point, my son would be out of high school. As you know, I'm a single mother, and this is my only source of income. I have no child support. I have nothing. So if you fire me, I'm really up a creek. I have no insurance. I have nothing. I've been very proactive talking about my health with my treatments, and I've given everything I've got to get better. I have utilized cutting edge technology and have been blessed with some of the best doctors in the nation. I have completed all but 3 treatments in Nashville, so there will be minimal time needed to be out of the office, and I plan to use vacation days for those 3 treatments, which insurance requires by the end of the year, but I can get it extended. I am better. I am so thankful to report. My eyes are stable, and we are at now over a year with stability of the eyes. And I'm ready. I'm ready, and I'm up and ready for the job, which includes voting equipment purchasing, training the new equipment, software, new protocols from start to finish with new voting machines. I'm ready for our biggest local election in August. Petitions and candidate packets will be available January 2nd, and my expertise in election knowledge will be invaluable in that election, especially with new equipment. I have in the past completed HAVA paperwork, which is no small feat. I think it would be advantageous for you to keep me
not just dollars and cents and equipment. I mean, what would your preference be? To go to the 10 years or to go past?
My preference would be to work for 1 year and 8 months. That would put me at the 10-year vested of Chester County, of which I can retire and level up, and my son and I can survive. That would be my preference. And hopefully by then, Bill, Ms. Pat, all of you will be back on Team Michelle and pleased with the job that I'm doing. And if I'm not, I'll retire. My second option would be to the first of the year. June the 2nd. But please,
I haven't been on the commission too long, I guess. Well, no, I'm a little bit newer, or not as new as you, Sylvia, but I came aboard at these last several years have been really, really difficult in the political environment, and I wasn't really, I was really apprehensive when Dr. Ricard asked me to sit in, and I knew I would be in the minority, and I thought, I'm retired, I don't need the $50 a meeting for ulcers. I mean, it costs more to go to the doctor than you're gonna make with this kind of stuff. But then I met Michelle and the rest of the commission too. And I don't even come to these meetings thinking about politics. I am very political and I have a lot of strong opinions, but I come here and it's all about the voters. And that is, if this whole country was just about the voters, we could figure out a way to get along, I believe. And I really blame Michelle a lot for that. I mean, I wanted to be that way, but it takes people on both sides to come together. It can't be, it is not one force. It's two forces that have to learn to exist and, make discussions. I like the phrase, don't beat me, convince me.
Yeah.
And I have felt that incredibly with Michelle. As a matter of fact, when I was first on the commission, it was, I think a couple months later, we had the first Nashville meeting at Opryland, and I rode with Michelle over there. And I expressed a concern about the way the sign was at the door when you walk in to vote. And she actually, it took a little bit to make my point, but the next time those signs were changed. And it made the voters feel more welcome instead of, my wife just grabbed my elbow and says, we're leaving. And I'm like, ugh, and then, I saw the same look on another man's wife when she came in, and I kind of did the same thing. Like, please, we'll, this, because it just read like, if you don't have a driver's license, you're not going to vote.
right.
And while that is, you have to prove your identity, you still can cast a paper ballot, but that wasn't an option. And just little things like that, just to try to include people, was huge with Michelle. And I've been in the office when people come in, and there is no way to tell that she's what party she is when she talks to them. It is all about the voter. And I'm very reluctant to, I don't even want to have this as a vote. But I don't know if there's any motions about it. There's simply a vote. Is it possible? Anybody else? Or would it just muddy the waters if anybody else said anything that's not on the commission or the AOE?
I don't know if there's anyone in the audience that has a comment they want to make. Harold?
Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Harold Spain, and I think if we cut to the chase, it really boils down to is Michelle and are a liability for the county. And in my opinion, she's a total asset for the county. I mean, because she's, every time I've been in there, she has, and we're on opposite parties, just to let you know. So I have always felt nothing but welcome in there.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm Lance Sheardon, Chester County trustee. I've served in office for 22 years now. I don't want to make any enemies up here today, but I want to say something. I'm friends with everybody up there. More importantly, I respect each of you. You have a job to do, and I appreciate it. Your service for your civil service. It's kind of comes as a surprise to me this morning. You hear things, but you're in the courthouse. You hear all kinds of things that may or may not be true. But this is kind of a surprise. But I think that Commissioner Bill, I think he has reasons for bringing up that motion. On the flip side, Michelle has been an asset. I will actually agree with Ms. Spain today. Anytime I've gone in there, it's never been a political issue. If I ask a question, if I happen to ask something she can't tell me, she tells me she can't tell me. I respect that answer, and I move on. Just like the trustee's office, we serve Democrats, Republicans, Tea Parties, we serve everybody. And we don't ask what you are when you come in. We don't care what you are when you come in. But I think she's done a great job. Here, again, I'm not here to bash any previous administrations, but we've come a long way. And I appreciate the work that she's done.
I'd like to say something if I could.
Sure.
I guess I say I'm the new kid on the block. But I have to say that just listening to the review, listening to everything, and I've known Michelle even before I even worked in the position, served as a commissioner. The job performance, what she's done, just listening to it, it's impeccable. What she's done, and I feel that she's done a great job. I will say that it just my heart kind of saddens me that we are where we are right now. And I respect everybody where they are and how they feel. But I just have to say that no one knows what state or fate they'll end up in. They don't know, even with their health or with their family or what's going on with them. We don't know. We just live from day to day. But what we do know is that we can see results for what's working. We can see that it's been working for the years that she has served in the capacity that she served in. And I just have to say that her performance has been good from what I've viewed. And like I said, I've never been in the time where I felt like I'm a Democrat, that she treated me any different than she did the Republicans. Everybody was like, it was no sides. And even when we come together, there's no sides. We can come together at the table. We can talk about it. And what we're concerned about is the outcome for Chester County. We want the best for the voters. We want the people to know that we're different parties, but we're together when it comes to Chester County and the voting, and everybody has a right to do that and to feel comfortable with what they believe. That's all. I'm just looking at that year and 8 months. I'm just looking at that, and to come to the stages of the termination at this point, it saddens me. I would like to just to have her, to have a chance, to give her a chance. And even if she's had some problems in the past, or things have happened in the past that hadn't been satisfied to the ones that felt that they were dissatisfied with her performance or what she's done, just to give her a her performance and, to say, okay, you know, hey, even if we evaluate her, give her a chance, let's say, you know, let's have an evaluation of her, see, give her this time to kind of get it, you know, if you think that it's not together, just say, pull some things together. But, I just don't want, for it to come to just an abrupt end. You know, that's my opinion, that's how I feel about it, and, that's just where I am right now. Thank you with that.
Anybody else want to address anything?
So, I'm here on behalf of this one.
Right.
I don't want to, you know, I don't feel like there's a whole lot I need to say. I think y'all have said what needs to be said. But I think what you need to look at is the proof is in the pudding, right? I mean, you've gone, you've been administrator of elections here since 2009. I'm a citizen of this county. I voted in every election in this county since 2009. And I can tell you that they've all been positive experiences. I've never felt any. I think it's been, the elections are very professionally run. I think that's what you've got here. And I think whatever differences that may have arisen, you have to look at the big total picture in making your decision. And that's what this is all about. And I don't think there's any question, Michelle, that you've provided the county with that type of service. I think that's all that needs to be said.
We have had good service. It's just as a matter of record, in case you don't know, I was the one that nominated Michelle for this job. And that's why it, as Sylvia says, it saddens me that we've got to this point. But the reason I made the motion is I have been by the office, and as I said, this is job performance, and I'm not pleased with what's happened, and I haven't shared a lot of things that I have discovered with y'all, but you can look and do some of your own discovery if you're before or after, or you could have before now, and that's our responsibility, as you said, Sue, is to the voters, the citizens of Chester County, the taxpayers, and I don't feel like we're getting the taxpayers' money's worth, and that's why I think we need to change.
One of the things that I guess I've dealt with over the years, I've represented a lot of people in employment disputes with their employees over the years. And one of the tools, and I mean, I just throw this out, that's utilized by a lot of employers are things that are known as performance improvement plans. If you think that there are those type of issues that need to be addressed, you can, sometimes the employee's allowed to create it themselves, sometimes the employer creates it.
I'm familiar with employee performance plans. I've used those when I've worked, and basically over the last, as she covered in several of her reports, we have met, Steve and I met, and we have talked about basically performance improvement things to do, and I can see to this date nothing has changed. I see no improvements.
If there was a type of maybe an objective document that's created that says this is what we expect going forward, and I just throw that out.
At least till January the 2nd.
Well, until the next meeting, if there were certain goals that were
Right,
set.
that's true.
I'm not going to change my motion. Like I said, I'm privy. I have investigated a lot of things, and I can share them with you. But that's my reasoning, and so I'm not going to withdraw my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Smith, you got anything you want to add?
No, not really, but if somebody is not in the office working, when you run out of sick leave or you run out of vacation, you should take leave without pay, not draw pay from the county, which you do not deserve.
say, I find this an extremely painful situation to be in.
I think so too, for all of us.
I find it painful because I feel like you and I have become friends, good friends over the last several years. I find it painful because I do believe that for those years up until sometime last year, that you were arguably the best administrator of election in the state of Tennessee. And I frequently said that to people. Frankly, I took great pride in the fact that we'd hired you and the job you were doing, and I received many compliments, and I will say that up front. I don't know, I should probably not say this at this point. I'll confess to you, you weren't my first choice for the job. I'll just admit, as I was ranking people when we interviewed, but Bill sold me. I think that's worth noting that he sold me. I have not regretted that a second. I think it was the right choice. And I really do feel like that I didn't have reason to regret it. My concern is this: when we hired you, you and I talked about this job, that there were 3 goals I had for the commission under my oversight as chairman: integrity, accuracy, and efficiency. That I wanted us to be an example of what a government office should be in terms of being responsible to the citizens for their time and for the money and for the performance of that job. And as I said, that was one of the things I was so happy about, is through those first few, and we had some challenges, I was never given reason to doubt in any way your professionalism. And it bothers me that over the last several months, and not just the last 6, that things have occurred that have undercut my confidence in that. A lot of them are small things. Times and dates that are wrong in documents because you didn't update a set of minutes. Okay. Emails that are sent in September that you answer in October as if you got them in September or in October. Text messages that are either from other people or don't seem to respond to anything in particular. I have one on my phone that consists of letters that don't even make sense. And I don't know why you're sending those. And it makes me wonder about, as we're heading into 2018 and we're heading into potentially a large and contentious election. What I'm concerned about is whether you can, not whether you've been able to do your job in the past, but whether you can do it going forward into that election cycle. Last November, I was trying to put together a cycle, you remember this, where we would discuss the budget at a meeting maybe I was misunderstanding you, but you seemed insulted that I wanted to discuss performance evaluations. And I let that drop at the time. But at that point, I was already noticing that I seemed to be dealing with Kathy more than you, and I wasn't catching you when I stopped by the office. And during, for example, early voting in the last election, there were several days where I would come by and you weren't there at early voting, which you would never have done in the past. And the first couple of times, I just assumed you were at lunch. And maybe you were. Maybe you had legitimate reasons not to be. But I try to check on her. I don't come by the office every day, every week. I've done more of that in the last year, unfortunately. But it bothered me that I couldn't find you during early voting. Yeah, well, I guess it was October, but it was the November election. So there have been a couple of other things. I'm like Bill, I'm reluctant to mention them in a public meeting. Incidents with people, county employees, poll officials, that I don't have firsthand knowledge of, but that I've heard enough about secondhand to raise concerns in my mind. I don't know. I'm trying to be kind. I'm trying not to be trying to be respectful as I know how to be, because again, I think we're friends, and you and I have had no less than 7 discussions over the course of the summer about different aspects of your relationship with the commission and on the job. The one on September 7th, I think you mentioned, I thought was a great meeting. And I was highly encouraged at that meeting. And you made some representations to me about what was going to happen over the next month. And it didn't. Yeah, we did. But I have noticed in the last 2 weeks since we put this on the agenda, things seem to have discussion of that? Does anybody else have anything they want to say? Observations, recommendation?
I know on behalf of this wife, we'd certainly be willing to sit down with whomever, if it's a possibility, and go through with whoever wanted to do it, to create something. A direction, a plan, and see if these goals can be met by January. And then, said if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. We would certainly be willing to sit down with any or all the commissioners to try to accomplish that purpose.
We got a few options, I suppose, then. We can take a direct vote on the motion to dismiss. Just the most definitive response. From a parliamentary standpoint, we could entertain a motion to table the motion to dismiss. Which would allow us not to vote it down, but to postpone consideration until the next meeting. During which time other actions might be taken. Trying to think if there are other options from a parliamentary standpoint. That would be the two most most obvious to me. So at this point, we can either have a call for a vote or a motion to table would be appropriate.
I'd like to make a motion, we table this vote.
All right, there's a motion to table the motion to dismiss. By KB. With the second, Sylvia. Again, what happens with a motion to table is that you vote not to literally lay the pending motion on the table for further consideration. It can be typically, again, from a parliamentary standpoint, can be taken off the table at this meeting or at the next meeting. It would delay a resolution. vote in favor of the motion forestalls action, and vote against the motion to table would bring the original motion up for a vote. So, in light of the nature of this issue, was go around the table and everyone can vote individually. So, Ms. Sylvia, you would vote.
To table the motion.
So, I would vote aye.
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 Nay.
Nay. No. And that leaves the fifth vote to me. I have to vote no as well. So that motion to table fails. And that brings us back to the original motion. Are there further comments and discussion? Or is there a call for a vote?
I call for the vote.
It's a call for the vote, once again, in light of the nature of the vote. I'll start with Ms. Sylvia. We are voting now on the motion to dismiss. So an aye vote is in favor of dismissal. A no vote is against dismissal. Ms. Sylvia, we'll start with you. We'll go in order of seniority.
And the dismissal would be voting against terminating the position.
An aye vote is to dismiss. A nay vote would be to keep. So a no vote. Okay, that's one vote nay. KB?
I vote nay.
It's two votes nay. Bill?
Vote yea.
Vote aye. It's bad. It's two votes for, two votes against. As much as it deeply pains me on a personal level, I have to vote aye as well. That motion passes. Despite that, I think I speak for the entire commission when I say we are grateful for your service. And wish you well. It is an unfortunate situation, I think. That leaves us a question of moving forward, gentlemen and ladies. Are there any proposals of how we proceed? Thank you.
Well,
that motion?
Second.
Ms. Pat seconds. Is there any discussion on that point? There's no discussion. We'll go ahead and have a vote on that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. I would suggest that we take this fourth quarter to accept applications for AOE. And then we put that item on the agenda for our January regular meeting. Since the media is here, I'm sure word will be out about that pretty quickly, and we will probably have no shortage of folks to consider come January. All right. The other item of new business we have is a review of registration applications for this meeting. I'm going to pass those around for some of you to review. At least one Republican and one Democrat to review them and sign. So, Pat, if you want to start that process. While we're passing that around, the third Thursday in January is the 18th. Um, 2018. That will be our next regular meeting. Kathy, if information comes up regarding the new equipment that requires our attention prior to the end of